Hello, my friends. It is day 155, and we're reading Proverbs chapter 4 through Proverbs chapter 6. And so, before we get into our recap for today, I want to thank you for taking a moment to check out this video. Hopefully, you're finding the yearly Bible reading challenge to be encouraging and inspiring as you read the Bible every single day and leave feedback on the things you're learning and discovering through God's Word. If you have not yet accepted the invitation, please take a moment to check out the video description link, and there you'll find a link that will take you directly to the YouVersion Bible app, where you can join a number of people reading the Bible every single day and leaving feedback on the things they're learning. And so we'd love for you to be a part of this group. I know that we'll be blessed as much as we hope you'll be blessed by the interaction. So today we're continuing our reading in the book of Proverbs, and what an incredible and a very worthy book to engage. This is probably one of the greatest opportunities we have to increase our practical wisdom throughout the year in a very direct and easy way, because these writings are written just to do that. It is to help us understand exactly how to live wisely, how to live with discipline, how to live with prudence, and how to live justly and righteously in this world. It is intended to help us live successful lives, and so I'm all about that. I think this year, as we read the Bible, that's my focus. I want to know, how does the Bible give me this success that I cannot get without reading God's Word? And so there are a number of things that stand out here, but one of the verses that stood out to me more than anything was in chapter 4, verse 23, where Solomon is advising his sons to guard their heart above all else, because he says it determines the course of your life. And so if you ever want to know, how do you get to this place where you are doing what we read in chapter 1, you're living disciplined, you're living with wisdom, you're acting in justice and in righteousness, you're having discernment, the only way to get there is to guard your heart. It's the thing that moves and drives your day-to-day decisions. It drives your desires. It drives everything about who you are. And so he tells them to do this. And then in the following verses, he says, avoid perverse talk, stay away from corrupt speech, look straight ahead, fix your eyes on what lies before you, mark out a straight path for your feet, stay on the safe path, don't get sidetracked. So you can see how, as you're guarding your heart, everything else about you seems to be focused and aligned as well. I read a book where they said it was a book basically showing how successful people start their day. And one of the things that they said is that, every successful person starts their day by making their bed, because if they can make their bed, they can do everything else they need to do as far as making the right decisions throughout the day, right? It starts with that one thing that you do in order to guide the remainder of your day. And I gotta see, life being that way. If you can just fix your heart, guard your heart, protect your heart from things that could corrupt it, then obviously it's going to help you moving forward make the decisions that you need to make in order to protect yourself from the kind of things we read in the book of Proverbs. Now, remember, Solomon is writing to his son. And if you look at chapter 5, man, it is a book that every young man, a chapter rather, that every young man needs to read. Oh, it's just so good. And there are three things that men fall prey to. Two that comes to mind. It's obviously women, money, and there's another thing. I can't remember what the other thing is, but those two things come to mind. Like, this unbridled desire for wealth and money, and then there's also this untamed desire for women in an inappropriate way. And throughout this book, you can see Solomon addressing both of these things all the time, frequently, so that his sons won't fall into the snares that most men fall into. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of men fall into. And so then you see in chapter 5, all of these, it's just from infidelity to, adultery to enticement to lust. He just goes down the line and gives such colorful, if you read this chapter, it's just so colorful. The brilliance is not just in the wisdom itself, but in the conveyance of this wisdom, this poetic type of, expression concerning these very deep ideas about how you can practically go through life avoiding what is an easy pitfall if you're not aware, right? And then in chapter 6, he just goes through a line of just practical daily lessons. For instance, you see in verse 12, you see the issue about being worthless and being wicked, but then just, people who having a certain character who are worthless and witness, that being, or wicked rather, that being liars and having their hearts set up and intentional about doing evil. And then you go in verse 16 and following, you see the 7 things that the Lord hates. And it just goes down a list of things that a son who is following this wisdom would not want to find themselves doing, because they understand that these things lead, again, to an unsuccessful life. It corrupts their heart. And so, I don't know what system we should put in place. I think we should find one, though. We need to figure out what is the system that we can build and create to catalog these sayings in a way that makes them easily accessible. For me, it just looks like me marking up my Bible, right? I'm just marking up everything. I'm trying as much as I can to highlight so that I can call to memory at least some, the gist of what is being said. But every day, if we want to really, really get something here, every day we want to definitely read and understand what's going on here and try to make a habit of just ingesting this information so that we can, again, live wisely and live with discernment and make sure we be careful in everything we do on a day-to-day basis. That's what it's all about. I like to say this all the time. The sum total of our lives is based upon the decisions that we make. So if we want a better life, we have to make better decisions. What better way to make better decisions than filling our hearts and our minds with the knowledge of God and the wisdom of God that will help guide our moral compass to the place where it needs to be, to just do the right thing at the right time for the right reason, right? So we're going to keep reading these things and studying and understanding what it is the Lord will say to us. And I believe it will help us in more ways than one. But until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. And remember, live by the word.